My dear friends, tell me honestly, have you ever faced a time in life when you felt everything is falling apart? Work pressure, family issues, financial struggles, heartbreak, and on top of that, people giving you free advice. Don't worry, just relax, smile, relax. If it was so easy, I would have opened a spa inside my brain already. Z audience laughter. But the truth is, life will give us tough times again and again. The real question is not how to avoid them, but how to stay calm, centered, and relaxed in the middle of the storm. So today, let's explore together how to get relaxation from tough times. Not by running away from problems, but by finding peace within. Ladies and gentlemen, the first step towards relaxation in tough times is acceptance over resistance. You see, pain in life is inevitable. But suffering is optional. Pain knocks at everyone's door. It doesn't discriminate between rich and poor, young and old, famous and unknown. But suffering comes when we say, no, this should not happen to me. Let me give you an example. Imagine it's raining heavily. You're standing outside, shaking your fist at the sky, shouting, "Why are you raining today? Why on my birthday? Why on my wedding day?" They pause, audience laughter. The rain doesn't care. It will rain anyway. The only thing your resistance is doing is making you wet, angry, and miserable. That's exactly what happens in life. Problems are like the rain. You can't control when they come. But you can always decide, do I want to get drenched in anger or do I want to open an umbrella of acceptance? Acceptance doesn't mean we like the situation. No, acceptance simply means, this is my reality right now. Instead of fighting what I cannot change, let me learn how to deal with it. There's a beautiful line, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. The moment we accept a tough time as a teacher, our heart relaxes. Instead of asking, why me? We start asking, what is life trying to teach me through this? Think about it. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is purified in fire, and seeds grow only when buried under the soil. In the same way, our greatest growth often comes through our hardest struggles. So my dear friends, next time life throws a problem at you, don't say, why me? Smile gently and say, try me, teach me, train me. Because the problem is not here to destroy you. It's here to develop you. My friends, after we learn to accept situations instead of resisting them, the next important step to relax in tough times is to focus on what we can actually control. You see, one of the biggest reasons why people feel anxious, stressed, and restless is because they keep trying to fix things that are simply not in their hands. Imagine you are standing at the airport and your flight is delayed. Now you can complain, argue, or even fight with the staff, but tell me honestly, will the plane fly just because you raised your voice? No, it will take off only when the pilot and the weather allow it. But while waiting, you can control how you use your time. You can sit and sulk, or you can open a book, make a call to a loved one, or even just take a deep breath and rest. The situation is the same, but your experience of it changes depending on what you focus on. This is the secret of peace. Control the controllable. In tough times, instead of wasting our energy on things outside our reach, we should direct it towards what we actually can influence. If someone spoke harshly to you, you cannot control their words, but you can control your response. If the market goes down, you cannot control the economy, but you can control your expenses and savings. If health issues come, you may not control the disease instantly, but you can control your diet, rest, and attitude towards healing. When we fight with what we cannot change, we drain ourselves. When we work with what we can change, we empower ourselves. There's a famous prayer, God, give me the strength to change what I can, the patience to accept what I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference. This wisdom, to know the difference, is the line that separates stress from relaxation. Because stress is nothing but carrying the weight of the uncontrollable on our shoulders. And peace comes when we put that weight down. Think about a ship sailing in the ocean. The captain cannot control the wind, the waves, or the storms, but he can control the sails, the direction, and the decisions he makes. In the same way, we are the captains of our own life. We cannot command the storms to stop, but we can adjust our sails. And sometimes, adjusting a little is all we need to survive a big storm. So in your tough times, don't spend your days and nights crying over the things you cannot change. Instead, shift your focus. Ask yourself, what is still in my hands right now? What small step can I take today? The moment you shift your attention from the uncontrollable to the controllable, you will feel a sense of calm entering your heart. Because peace doesn't come when life becomes perfect. Peace comes when we learn to manage life with wisdom, one controllable step at a time. My friends, one of the most underestimated, yet the most powerful tools we have in tough times is our breath. It's so simple that most people ignore it. We think of solutions outside: money, advice, distractions, entertainment. But the truth is, the very first medicine for stress is hidden inside us. And that is the way we breathe. Have you noticed how your breathing changes with your emotions? When you are angry, your breath becomes short and fast. When you are anxious, your breath feels tight and shallow. When you are relaxed, your breath becomes slow and deep. In fact, your breath is like a mirror. It reflects exactly what your mind is going through. But here's the secret. Not only does the mind affect the breath can also affect the mind. If you slow your breath, your mind slows down. If you deepen your breath, your heart begins to relax. I'll tell you a small story. Once a man went to a wise teacher and said, "Master, I am always restless, always anxious, always worried. Please tell me a way to calm down." The master smiled and gave him a very strange instruction. "Breathe." The man said, "I already breathe." The master replied, "No, you exist, but you don't breathe. Learn to breathe properly, and you will learn to live properly." At first, the man thought it was silly, but when he practiced slow breathing every day, he realized that his heart started calming down even in difficult situations. The same problems came, but his reactions changed. You see, when we are stressed, our nervous system goes into fight or flight mode. It is like an alarm bell ringing in the brain. Danger, danger. Even if there's no real danger, our body reacts as if a lion is chasing us. That's why our heart races, our breath becomes shallow, and our muscles tighten. But when we consciously take slow, deep breaths, we are telling our nervous system, "It's okay, you are safe, relax." And like magic, the body begins to listen. The heart slows down, the mind becomes clearer, the body softens. That is why many ancient practices, whether it is yoga, meditation, or prayer, always begin with the breath. Because the breath is the doorway between the body and the mind. It connects the two. If the mind is restless, use the breath to calm the body, and slowly, the mind will follow. Think of it this way. Imagine your mind is like a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the mud never settles. But if you just hold it still, slowly, the mud sinks down and the water becomes clear. In the same way, the breath is the stillness that allows the mud of restless thoughts to settle. So, my dear friends, in tough times, don't underestimate this small act. Before reacting in anger, before making a rushed decision, before saying words you might regret, just pause and take 3 slow, deep breaths. It may not solve the problem instantly, but it will surely solve the chaos inside you. And when the chaos inside you settles, you will see your situation with fresh eyes and new clarity. Remember, the storm outside may not stop, but if you learn to anchor your breath, the storm inside will surely calm down. And sometimes, calming the storm inside is all you need to survive the storm outside. My dear friends, there is a very thin line between detachment and escape. And in tough times, most people confuse the two. When pain comes, when failures hit, when relationships hurt, the natural temptation is to run away. We escape into distractions, into endless scrolling on our phones, into food, into overworking, sometimes even into addictions. Why? Because we think that if we avoid facing the problem, maybe the pain will go away. But let me tell you, escape does not solve anything. It only delays healing. It's like having a wound on your hand, and instead of treating it, you just cover it with a glove and pretend it's not there. For a while, nobody sees it. For a while, even you may forget it. But underneath, the wound is still there, and slowly it gets worse. Detachment, on the other hand, is very different. Detachment does not mean you run away from reality. It means you choose not to let reality control your peace of mind. It means you face the problem with full awareness, but you do not allow yourself to drown in it. Imagine standing in front of a fire. If you run straight into it, you get burned. That is escape into pain. If you pretend the fire doesn't exist, you are fooling yourself. That is denial. But if you stand at a safe distance and observe the fire, you see it clearly, you feel its heat. But you are not consumed by it. That is detachment. There's a story of a king who once asked his wise minister, "How do I stay calm in difficult times?" The minister took the king to a river. The water was flowing fast. He put his hand in and held it tightly against the current. The harder he held, the more the water pushed, the more his hand hurt. Then he loosened his grip and simply let his hand flow with the water. The resistance ended, the pain stopped. He looked at the king and said, "Problems are like this river. If you fight against them, you hurt yourself. If you escape, you drown. But if you detach and flow, you stay at peace." Detachment means you see pain, but you don't become pain. You see failure, but you don't label yourself as a failure. You see rejection, but you don't lose your worth. Tough times test our ability to separate who we are from what we are going through. You are not your problem. You are not your stress. You are not your heartbreak. These are experiences. They come and they go. But the real you is far deeper, far stronger, and far calmer. Look at the lotus flower. It grows in muddy water. The mud surrounds it from all sides, yet the lotus remains untouched, pure and beautiful. That is detachment. The mud is still there. The lotus is not running away from the mud, but the mud cannot stain it. So when you are in tough times, don't run away into unhealthy escapes. Sit with your pain. Acknowledge it, but don't identify with it. Detach from the chaos. Breathe, observe, and you will notice slowly the problem loses its power over you. You become like the lotus, surrounded by mud, but never defined by it. And that, my friends, is true relaxation in tough times. Not pretending life is perfect, but learning to stay peaceful in the middle of imperfection. My dear friends, if there is one master key that can open the doors of peace in the middle of life's storms, it is gratitude. Gratitude is not just saying thank you with your lips, It is a deep inner attitude that changes the way we see everything. In tough times, our mind has a natural habit. It zooms in only on what is going wrong. The loss, the rejection, the failure, the lack. And the more we focus on what's missing, the heavier our heart feels. Gratitude flips the lens. It doesn't deny the pain, but it reminds us that even in darkness, there is still some light. Think of electricity. If you enter a room at night and switch on the light, immediately the darkness goes away. Gratitude is like that switch. The moment you turn it on, even little, the darkness of worry starts to fade. For example, you may have lost your job. That's painful, no doubt. But gratitude reminds you, I still have my health. I still have my family. I still have my skills. I still have my life. When you start counting what's left, the loss doesn't crush you as much. There's a story I once heard of a man who was always unhappy. He complained about everything: his food, his clothes, his home, his work. One day, his teacher told him to write down all his complaints on one side of a paper. The man filled it quickly. Then the teacher told him, "No, write down what you do have." At first, the man struggled. But as he thought, he began writing good eyesight, 2 hands, 2 legs, fresh air, water, family, friends. By the end, that list was much longer than his complaints. The teacher smiled and said, "You see, the problem is not that your life is empty. The problem is that your attention is empty." Or gratitude is shifting attention. When you focus on blessings, you realize you are already richer than you thought. Gratitude also changes your energy. Have you noticed how people who complain all the time carry heavy energy? They drain you, and people who are grateful, even in struggle, carry light energy. They uplift you. Gratitude doesn't just relax you, it relaxes everyone around you. There is even science behind this. Studies show that people who practice gratitude daily sleep better, have lower stress, and even stronger immunity. Why? Because gratitude tells your brain, you are safe, you are supported, you are not empty, and the brain responds by calming down the stress response. Now, some may say, but how can I be grateful when my life is falling apart? My friends, gratitude does not